Hello, humans. This is Victor Santoro and my loyal friend, Andre. Thanks for joining us. We're here to present you the playthrough for our All Humans Are Dead, the digital tabletop simulation version. Just so you know, we're going to have this video labeled and there's going to be all the time tags so you can go straight to the section that you need to learn how to play or you need a recap. And also check out our website for any additional information about our pledge manager, add-ons, and all that. So let's jump straight into it. As a reminder, you need to have your tabletop simulator already purchased and downloaded on Steam. You're going to have to subscribe to the mod. All Humans Are Dead is made in 2 different modules for tabletop simulator. This module that we're going to play today is the original version without any of the expansions. So as soon as you load All Humans Are Dead, this is the layout that you get. You have the rule book here. If you click and pop it out, you can read it within Tabletop Simulator. Our pieces are here to the left, our decks, center left, tokens here, 2 S.I.M.O.N cards, front and back. And these are the 8 playable characters. When you first start, you can see on the top right corner the names of all of the players. And the first thing is going to pick your color. And as you can see, all of the colors point to their respective characters, except for white. You and your friends can pick the colors that you want to play with, and your camera is going to be pointed to that particular character. For this playthrough, I'm going to play with red, so Diana. Andre is going to play with Wendy. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview. All Humans Are Dead is about an evil AI. It's called S.I.M.O.N. that took over the high-tech facility, released a deadly virus, and killed everybody. That's pretty much the gist of it. And it's up to 8 cybernetically enhanced animals to save the planet before S.I.M.O.N can upgrade itself and take over the rest of the world. The objective is to defeat S.I.M.O.N, of course, and how the players can do that is by destroying 3 of these rooms that have the green barriers around them. There are a couple ways that they can destroy these rooms. One of them is by planting a bomb and waiting for it to explode. The other is by calling an airstrike. We're going to go over these rules throughout the game. This is a cooperative game where all players play against the evil AI. And to lose the game, you just wait and see. S.I.M.O.N's going to start upgrading itself until it's game over, or by deploying all of the drones onto the board. We start by identifying the player who ate noodles in real life most recently. That's going to be the Noodle player. That player is going to pick their character first. And if you had the actual game box, you were going to pass the cards around clockwise, and everybody's going to pick their characters. Also, each player will pick 3 energy shields and put it on their character cards, and 2 power drinks. If playing solo, you're going to pick 6 defense shields. Each character already has their level ups next to their character and also their meeple. So the meeple goes onto the med bay, which is the initial room tile that every player starts the game in. So another thing you have to do at this stage is to pick the correct S.I.M.O.N card. We have 4 versions, 2 cards, front and back. Solo, 2 to 3 players, 4 to 5 players, 5 players hard. Pick the card that matches the number of players. The S.I.M.O.N upgrade marker gets started on the position 0. That's called assemble. Add 2 initial drone meeples to S.I.M.O.N's card, the assembly line, where the drones get assembled. And once all of the drones are assembled, they go into the board. Now let's go ahead and prepare the decks. So you have 3 decks. You have the loot deck, monster, and mystery. So we're going to shuffle that. In tabletop, you can just hit the R key on your keyboard. If you have the box version, you're going to have to manually shuffle that. All right, so we grab 15 cards from the loot deck, and that's going to be our initial stash, regardless of the number of players. These are called loot cards, and loot cards can be either noodles, which are these yellow cards. Each noodle will do something different. Equipment cards, it's going to be these gray ones here, are important to power up your characters so they can be better in combat and have other special actions. Implant cards provide special effects and they stay with your character even if your character gets knocked out. So once we review these cards, the Noodle player starts drawing one card and then proceeds clockwise with all the other players, each one drawing one card until there are no cards left or no one wishes to pick any other cards. If there's any cards remaining on the board, by then you can just discard it. This is our initial stash, and as you can see, we have a combination of implant cards, noodle cards, and equipment. A few things that are important to notice when you have your stash are all equipment cards, they have different icons on the top right corner. These icons, they represent one type of equipment: tool, blades, guns. We also have implants, and we have an affected equipment. When equipping a card, you have to match the equipment type with your equipment slot. Cards with the chopper icon like this one, they can be discarded to cause an airstrike, which is one of the ways that you can destroy the 3 rooms that you need to win the game. Also, you may have noticed that the equipment cards have other icons as well. So in addition to the name and the picture, you have these green triangles which represent your attack bonus. You have these shields, which represent your defense bonus. And you have these other icons that not all cards will have. But when they do, they give you special combat maneuvers. We'll go over combat maneuvers more in detail when we are in combat. We have the noodle cards were represented by these yellow cards, and each noodle cards will have a different effect. So some will have effects in combat, like this one, where the monster loses defense. Some will have useful effects on the field. This one helps you avoid hazards on the board. And some will just have very useful effects in general, like this one that gives you an extra action. Implants are special cards that you can equip on your character on these special implant slots. And they provide very useful, special, and powerful effects that your character does not lose if they get knocked out. Implant cards can only be equipped during the initial setup stage of the game, or if the group already reviewed a lab, which is one of the special rooms. If you draw an implant card any time during the game and you don't have a lab that you can go in, you cannot equip that implant. Effector cards are special types of equipment that if you draw during the game, you're obligated to equip it on one of your slots. And they cause some bad consequences to your character, and they cannot be unequipped unless through some special effects in game. Andre and I, we both drew our cards from the stash, and this is my hand, right? So every card that I get goes into my inventory. Inventory is just another word for your hand. You can never have more than 10 cards in your inventory. If you do, you have to discard immediately down to 10. So this is my initial inventory, and because we're just starting the game, I get to equip cards immediately. So I pick from the cards that are eligible to be equipped on my slots. So I want this one, and I want this one. So all of the other cards that I did not equip, I'm going to just put it in my inventory. We're playing cooperatively, so it's okay if I leave my cards open like this. Or if you want to keep the suspense, you can hide your cards like that. Okay, so now we see how Andre equipped his character. So Andre also equipped an implant because he drew it during the setup phase, so that's okay to be equipped immediately. And he was able to equip 2 tools on tools slots. Each card has its own attack and defense powers. Some cards will have special effects. For instance, the pickaxe allows you to do one special action, dig, and then your character will be able to do more things. Now we're going to stack the rooms. You're going to set aside all of your S.I.M.O.N brain rooms, which are these tiles here, 4 of them. And you're going to set aside all of your fusion core rooms, which are these rooms with a green barrier around them. 4 of them. In your tabletop simulator version, these tiles will already be set aside. If you're playing the box version, you will have to go through the stack and actually pull out these 8 tiles. Now you shuffle the rest of the 40 tiles. After shuffling the 40 room tiles, you will pair one S.I.M.O.N brain with one fusion core room like this. Then you flip them. You split the 40 rooms into 4 equal stacks, and you can use these right-click on your tabletop simulator, and you can use the split function, split in 4 piles, and you'll see that you're going to end up with 4 piles of 10. And then what you're going to do is unite the 10 random rooms with the 2 tiles that you set aside from before. Now you'll end up with 4 piles of 12, and then you shuffle them individually. Again, we're using the R key on your keyboard to quickly shuffle things. Once they are shuffled, you just pile them together, and there you go. You have your room stack. See? Pretty simple. Important here, guys. Do not shuffle the room stack after it's completed, right? So this is the final room stack, and you should not shuffle it once you have finished this procedure. If you do, you're going to have to start over. The character card. In this case, the character Kane can equip 1 gun and 1 tool. Every character starts with a 3rd slot that starts locked, and by leveling up in the future, they can unlock this 3rd slot with additional equipment types. So here you have, as we already seen, the slots, the equipment and implant slots. You have your defense area where you're going to put your defense shields. You have your power stash where you're going to put your power drinks. And now you have your speed represented by this red cube. In your combat gauge, each character has a different minimum attack and a maximum attack. And the way you know how much attack power you have in each given turn is by using this piece here, which is the combatonator. The combatonator will move up and down depending on what your attack power is for that turn. Every new turn, your combatonator is going to go back to the minimum value. Also, here are your level up slots. All characters start with their level 1 Pharaoh level active, and they are unique for each character. To level up, you must spend the necessary number of monster cards from your inventory, and then pick any level up from your available options. You can level up anytime except during combat or while resolving an encounter. All right, guys, so now we're going to talk about turn sequence. So when it's your turn, you're going to execute 3 parts of your turn, and when it ends, the player to your left is going to play. So on the tick-tock phase, the player will remove one of the defense shields that are on an arm bomb. If there's only one defense shield, the player will remove the last shield, the bomb, and explode that room, which, in other words, flip the room, add a blasted token to it, indicating that that fusion card has been destroyed. If there are any players or drones in the room, those will be destroyed or knocked out. Also, right next to an exploded room, regardless of reason, if there are TNT icons like this one or this one, those rooms will also explode in a chain reaction. In this case, this one would not explode because it requires a adjacent room to be exploded next to it. Get ready phase is where you trade, equip, and prepare. Trade. You can freely trade cards with other players that are in the same room with you. As many cards as you want, no questions asked. Still, nobody can own more than 10 cards on their inventory at once. Also, during this phase is when you can equip cards from your inventory onto your character. Lastly, you have to get ready. Each turn, you're going to have to decide whether you keep attack or defense. And you're going to turn your combatinator to the right position depending on your strategy for that turn. Preparing attack. Set your combatinator to the minimum attack value. Add all of your attack bonuses from cards and levels and put the resulting amount on your combat gauge. In this case, I have 3 for my minimum attack plus 6 from bonuses, so my final attack power is 9. Preparing defense. In this case, you set your combatinator to the minimum attack value, and there it's going to stay for the rest of the turn. Add your defense bonuses from cards and levels, and pick as many defense shields as those bonuses. In this case, we have 4 defense bonuses, so I'm going to grab 4 defense shields and add to my defense. Last but not least, do something. Perform actions. Each player has 2 actions, or if you're playing solo, you have 3 actions to do. Initially, all players starts with only the basic action, which is just moving around. When players equip cards, get level ups, or located within certain special rooms, they may have access to advanced actions. But we'll talk about those later. So one of the main things that you do during your do something stage is move. Every character is able to move, and each room they move counts as 1 action. When moving into an open space with no rooms in it, you need to pick 1 room from the stack, reveal it, and enter it immediately. Upon placing a new room, you can pick whatever the rotation you'd like, as long as there is 1 open connection to the room that you came from. Characters may not walk through walls or through locked doors except through special actions. Also, characters may not enter blasted or exploded rooms. There are 5 main encounter actions: loot, turrets, monsters, mystery, S.I.M.O.N brain. Each of these encounters triggers a unique effect that must be resolved before the player goes to their next action. After you resolve all of your encounter icons, you'll add a clear token to that room indicating that it's resolved and it can behave as an empty room. Rooms with any kind of barrier, yellow, red, or green, are not subjected to clearing. All right, so let's review the possible encounters that you can have. Loot encounters. Draw 1 loot card for each loot icon in the room that you just got in. Clear the room after resolving it. Monster rooms. Draw 1 or 2 monster cards depending on the icon and start a combat immediately. Clear the room after you resolve it. Turret. You got shot. Remove 5 defense shields from your character's sheet. Clear the room after resolving. Mystery. Draw a mystery card and resolve its effect immediately, depending on the card. Clear the room after resolving. The most dangerous of all the encounters, the S.I.M.O.N brain. Refer to your rulebook to follow the exact sequence of events every time you reveal and enter a S.I.M.O.N brain. First, advance 1 S.I.M.O.N upgrade. Next, deploy all of the assembled drones into the brain that was just revealed. Remove all clear tokens from the board. The player entering S.I.M.O.N brain loses the rest of their turn. And if playing with 3 or more players, the latest level up gets flipped to its feral level. The main safe zone is the med bay, is where all players start and all players go if they get knocked out. If you're knocked out in a med bay, you can revive the next turn with 3 shields. But that's all you can do on that turn. Helipads. Once revealed, the helipad can give you access to a game-winning strategy, which is the airstrike. To activate the airstrike, you have to have 4 cards in your inventory with the chopper icon on the top left corner. All of the cards need to be in a single player's inventory in order for the airstrike to be activated. Inside of this room, you can spend 1 action to get 1 loot, or 2 loot cards if you're playing with 4 or more players. Fusion core rooms are rooms with a green barrier around them, and there are 4 of them in the room stack. Players must review and destroy 3 out of 4 to win the game. Each fusion core room offers a special advanced action for players that are in it. Refer to your helper cards for more details. While you're in the factory, you can replicate, spend 1 action to take 1 loot card or 1 monster card from their respective discard piles. If you're inside the EMP room, you can remove all drones inside this room and any adjacent rooms, or remove 1 drone anywhere on the board. If a player is inside the reactor, they may flip one of their levels into their feral side up, or vice versa, spending 1 action. Players inside the lab may discard 1 loot card from their inventory to get another one from the deck, or discard 3 loot cards to get 5. Drones can move through walls, through locked doors, and even into exploded rooms, but they cannot go into red barrier rooms, also called no drone zones. Players and drones can only move left, right, up or down, no diagonal movements. You might be wondering what happens when a player enters a room with 1 or more drones. And the answer is nothing really. Nothing necessarily happens. The drones don't have direct influence on the players unless later in the game when S.I.M.O.N develops the hack and slash command, where it can actually force the drones to directly attack players. Other than that, no direct effect happens. Players may affect drones in a few ways. One is through special skills, like Diana's sniper skill, where by spending 1 action, she can remove 1 drone on site, which is any distance and not blocked by walls or locked doors. Or this skill Slick has, in which spending 1 action, he's able to remove one drone anywhere on the board. Last but not least, there's a Noodle card that can be played anytime by any player that removes up to 2 drones from the board. And that's the only noodle that directly affects drones. Since they don't have direct attack or defense powers, the regular combat altering noodles have no effect on drones. Whenever a player loses all of their defense shields, their character gets knocked out. So the main and most common way that this happens is getting defeated in combat, but there are also some other ways that your character can be knocked out. So let's go through some of these. If you walk into a turret room, you take 5 damage, so you lose 5 defense shields. If you don't have enough to survive and you run out of shields, your character is knocked out. In which case, it goes to the med bay, loses the rest of their turn, and their meeple gets flipped over. Next turn, this player will have to spend the entire turn reviving from not being knocked out with 3 defense shields from the scrapyard. And that's all they can do on their next turn. If there are not enough shields in the scrapyard, the other players must volunteer their own defense shields so that the reviving player come back with exactly 3 defense shields. Another way to get knocked out, if you're inside of an exploded room, in which case you'll lose all of your defense shields, no matter how many you have. In this case, whether Wendy is inside of this fusion core room or in the adjacent TNT room, she's going to get knocked out as soon as this bomb goes off. And then the same thing happens. Wendy loses all of her defense shields, no matter how many. And her meeple goes in the med bay, flipped over, and the player loses the rest of their turn. As soon as a player enters a room with a monster icon, a combat starts immediately. Draw a monster card, reveal it, and all combat has 4 steps. First is initiative. Compare your speed with the monster speed, and the higher speed starts. The monster wins dice. In this case, the blind mice is going to start attacking. Aggression round. The faster side deals damage. So the blind mice is going to start by dealing 7 points of damage to Wendy. And that means 7 defense shields will be removed. Wendy survived. Next is retribution round. The slower side deals damage if alive. So in this case, Wendy's alive with an attack power of 8. And she's going to attack the blind mice who has only a 1 point of defense. So basically, the blind mice is dead. The monster card goes into Wendy's inventory. And Wendy reduces the attack power by the amount of defense that she damaged. After combat is resolved, clear the monster room. Continuing. When you go into a room with a monster ×2 icon, that means you'll draw 2 monster cards. And then you have to fight one after the other. Let's start with this one. Same sequence applies. Step 1 initiative, compare speeds. In this case, Wendy is faster than the monster, so Wendy attacks first. Notice that Wendy's attack power did not get reset or recalculated. It stays as it is because it's still her turn. Wendy attacks first with 7 attack power, but the monster has 8 defense, in which case Wendy will not destroy the monster. This is when noodles can come in handy. Noodles can be played anytime by any players, and some of them can affect results in combat. This noodle, for instance, the spicy curry, will reduce 5 points of defense of any monster instantly. In this case, the 2418 probe will lose 5 defense shields, resulting in a total defense of 3. And in this case, Wendy will be able to destroy it. The noodle gets discarded. The monster goes into Wendy's inventory. And because Wendy only had to destroy 3 points of the monster's defense, her attack goes to 4. Great. Now it's time to find the second monster in that same room. Okay, now combat starts with the same sequence. First is initiative. In this case, the monster is faster. The monster attacks first. Also, notice that the monster has a skill. Monster skills, they're always on, and they take effect during the initiative phase, unless described otherwise. In this case, this monster requires you to discard your highest level up before combat. So Wendy will lose this one. Even though she lost a level that granted extra attack power, that doesn't affect the current turn. It's only going to affect her next get ready phase. If nothing is done, this monster is going to knock Wendy out because it has 7 attack power and it's going to attack first, and Wendy only has 1 defense shield. Luckily, this monster is weak against the sculpt maneuver. And Wendy has an item that grants that same maneuver, which Wendy can use to make the monster weaker. Whenever that happens, the player may declare that it's using the maneuver to make one of the monster attributes, speed, attack, or defense, into 1. So the player may choose the monster's speed to be 1, or attack, or defense. In this case, it's advantageous for Wendy to declare the monster's speed is 1, and then Wendy gets to attack first. Note that this doesn't change the effect of the skill. Now, Wendy attacks first, but note that Wendy's not going to be able to destroy the monster because she only has 4 attack power, and the monster has 7 defense. So the monster will survive, and what's going to happen is during the retribution phase, the monster is going to come with the full force of 7 attack power against the measly 1 defense shields from Wendy, in which case she's going to be knocked out. But there's one last resort, which is power drinks. When discarding a power drink, the player can add 3 points to either speed, attack, or defense. Since the monster speed is already 1, there's no point in increasing speed in this case. But if Wendy discards the power drink to get 3 more attack points, then her attack becomes 7, which is just enough to kill the monster. So that's what she does. With 7 attack power, the monster is defeated. The guard goes into inventory. Wendy loses as much combat strength as the monster has defenses. Obviously, it can be less than the minimum attack power. And then the room finally gets clear after the 2 combats have been resolved. Okay, so Wendy is not done yet. Andre is going to play a +1 action card, which gives her an extra action this turn. Once again, noodles can be played anytime by any player. So Wendy gets to walk one more time with the extra action that she got. And surprise, another monster. Wendy walks into the monster room. One more combat ensues. And the same sequence of 4 steps takes place. Initiative round shows the monster will attack first with 6 points of attack, and Wendy only has 1 defense shield. So Wendy will be knocked out if nothing happens. Also, we have no maneuvers that can overcome this particular monster's weakness. So that's not going to help there. As we saw last time, we can use the pile drinks to increase speed or attack or defense. In this case, I'm going to invest in defense. So I flip the pile drink, put it in my shield to indicate that I have +3. I grab my +3 shields. But the monster can still kill me with 6 attack power against my 4 defense. So here comes again the noodles for the rescue. So I'm gonna use this noodle to reduce the monster's attack by 5 points. So the monster's attack is only 1. I lose 1 shield and I don't die. The noodle is discarded, but neither Wendy or the monster were defeated in this combat. So it's really a tie. When there's a tie in combat, the monster gets discarded, the room is cleared, and that's it. Last but not least, if you're fighting a monster, but there's no real chance of success, you can always escape combat, but only during the initiative phase where you are faster than the monster. And in this case, you walk back to the room you came from, and the room is not clear. The monster gets discarded then. If a player enters the monster room and there's already another player there just waiting, the second player that is not initiating combat can provide support. Initially, combat starts as normal. Reveal the monster card, and everything happens as planned. Combat support players can help in 2 ways. First, execute their own maneuvers against weak monsters. In this case, Diana has this energy maneuver that is effective against this particular monster's weakness. And the second way to help is to offer your own defense shields to help defend against the monster's attack. In this case, monster attack is 6, which is going to knock Wendy out. Offer any amount of her own defense shields to the main player to help defend against the monster's initial attack. To win the game, the players must destroy 3 out of 4 fusion core rooms. One of the ways that you can destroy a fusion core room is arming a bomb. There are 2 ways to arm a bomb, and you can find those 2 ways in your crafting helper card. The first type of bomb is a regular bomb. You will discard 1 equipment type of each, blade, tool, and gun, and you will place the bomb inside of the fusion core room along with 3 of your own defense shields, indicating that that bomb is going to take 3 turns to explode. Another type of bomb that you can arm is the short fuse bomb. Similarly to the regular bomb, you have to discard some equipment cards, but in this case, you have to discard 4 of the same type, either 4 guns, 4 blades, or 4 tools. If you don't have all 4, you can always use an implant card or more as wild cards. Then you place the bomb inside of the room that you just armed the bomb in, and you put 1 of your own shields. And that's what makes it a short fuse bomb, because you know that bomb's going to go off in just 1 turn. Remember, when a bomb explodes, players and drones that are inside of the exploded room are destroyed and knocked out. In addition to bombs, players can craft a couple of special effects by discarding some resources that they have. If they discard 2 power drinks or 3 monster cards or 4 loot cards, they may get either a +1 action or a level up. Crafting this way costs no action and can be done anytime during your turn. As we saw, S.I.M.O.N has several different versions depending on how many players you're playing with. Depending on which upgrade level, S.I.M.O.N will have different commands that's going to issue to its drones on the board. The very initial S.I.M.O.N command is assemble. So you add 1 extra drone, in some cases 2, to the assembly line. When S.I.M.O.N is level 0, that's all S.I.M.O.N does on its turn. When S.I.M.O.N is more than level 0, it's going to start from the bottom up and execute all of the available commands. In this scenario, S.I.M.O.N is level 4. So it's going to execute commands starting from 0, then 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then S.I.M.O.N's turn is done. Command number 1, explore. 2 drones anywhere on the board will move up to 3 rooms towards the edge of the board and then reveal a new room. If there are no drones on the board, then S.I.M.O.N is going to repeat the command 0, assemble. That's what we call the else command. So in our case, we have plenty of drones, so drones will execute the explore action. So first drone will explore, and the second drone will explore, and that's the explore command. Command number 2, disarm. 1 drone in range of an armed bomb will move up to 3 rooms towards that bomb and attempt to disarm it. In this scenario, one of these 2 drones will move 1, 2, 3 towards this armed bomb, and as soon as they walk into this room, this bomb will be removed. In this other scenario here, we have a bomb with only 1 shield on top of it. It could be a short fuse bomb or a regular bomb that already ticked off 2 shields. There is a drone that's in range of that bomb. So when S.I.M.O.N issues the disarm command, one of these drones will walk 1, 2, 3 towards this bomb. However, because it only has 1 shield, the drone is going to fail to disarm it. If there are no armed bombs on the board, the drones will execute the else command, which in this case is to explore again. Only 1 drone will execute the else command. So another drone will then explore a room. Players may use a drone to explore again, even if that drone already was used to explore from the previous command. Command number 3, replicate. 1 drone in range of a S.I.M.O.N brain moves up to 3 rooms towards that brain and then another drone gets added to that same room. So in this scenario, the closest drone will be this one that would walk into the S.I.M.O.N brain room, and a new drone from the drone yard is added to that same brain room. In this scenario, there are no drones in range of a S.I.M.O.N brain room, in which case S.I.M.O.N issues the else command, in which case S.I.M.O.N will assemble another drone. Command number 4, hack and slash. One drone in range of a player moves up to 3 rooms towards that player, and then that player will lose 5 defense shields. In this scenario, the nearest drone could be either this one or could also be this one. Both players are same distance from the drone, so players may pick whichever path to execute. In this other scenario, this player is closer than the other player, so players must pick the nearest player to attack. As soon as the drone enters the room with the target player, player immediately loses 5 defense shields. Players inside of safe zones are considered out of range. In this scenario, there are no players within range, so S.I.M.O.N executes the else command, which is to replicate again. During some S.I.M.O.N's turns, S.I.M.O.N will assemble drones to occupy all its available positions. When that happens, that triggers a S.I.M.O.N's upgrade. So all drones are deployed to any yellow barrier rooms, also called deploy rooms, selected by the players, as long as all drones go into the same deploy rooms together. And S.I.M.O.N gets a level up. Drones may review a S.I.M.O.N brain room, in which case execute the entire S.I.M.O.N brain sequence. Check your rulebook, page 6. So, in order, S.I.M.O.N advances 1 level. All drones in the assembly line get deployed into the brain that was just revealed. All clear tokens are removed. The player entering the room loses the rest of their turn, and that includes S.I.M.O.N. So in this case, S.I.M.O.N's turn would be over. If playing with 3 or more players, players get devolved by revealing a brain, but that doesn't affect the drones at all. Drones or players revealing enough brains may trigger S.I.M.O.N to get to its full upgrade, in which case it's game over. S.I.M.O.N wins and the players lose. Victory conditions for players is to have 3 blaster tokens on the board. And there you have it. You have 3 destroyed rooms and the players win.